especially with the speed that he was ruled out of the game, I was kind of
Mhm.
fearful of the worst. And then unfortunately, it was confirmed today that it was an ACL. I feel horrible for Hufanga. I think he was going to be up for like a contract extension next year, and now he's going to be kind of recovering from that ACL. He's been just honestly just seems like a really stand up great guy, and then has also been such a playmaker, always seems to have such a knack for the ball, right now the 49ers are, I think, leading the league in interceptions, and he's a huge part of that. He always has his eye on the ball, very
Mhm.
physical, um, pretty good tackler, all the things. So definitely my prayers are out for Hufanga, and I think he'll be back and better than ever next year. But definitely, it's sad to see stuff like that, and it's especially sad. Like football is so interesting, and sports in general are so interesting because when I saw the play, I kind of laughed. Like you don't know, like I felt like they did. I don't know, maybe it's just where I was watching it or the broadcast I was watching, but I felt like they did a bad job explaining what happened. Like I saw it, and it looked like
Yeah.
he like slipped, and it didn't like he wasn't like laying on the field, or they didn't show him laying on the field on my screen. So I kind of was like, oh, that's like, he got juked out. Like I kind of was like, oh, that's funny. Like, it sucks for him. That's probably embarrassing. That sucks. And then they didn't show anything else about him being on the field or him getting carted off. And I'm watching the game, and then I see on Twitter like, oh, Hafunga's out with an injury. Hafunga's out, or Hafunga's being taken on a cart with an injury, blah, blah, blah. And then I felt like as soon as I read that, it was like 2 minutes later that they were like, he's ruled out for the whole game. And that's when I was like, oh shoot, and then you think about it being non-contact. So first of all,
Yeah.
any thoughts on Hufanga, and then we'll talk about Jiyar Brown, who came in as a replacement for Hufanga.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like that's a tough blow, not just for Hufanga, but for the team, for the defense. He was well on pace, I think, to have his best season statistically for the 49ers. And now, the 49ers are heading into the brunt of their schedule here coming up, and it's going to be tough without someone like Hufanga. And those are pretty big shoes to fill. And I think one of the reasons why is because Hufanga had such a specific role in this defense that I don't think anyone else can really like replicate. And I don't think the 49ers are going to force anyone to, fit into that role just because it was very much tailored to Hufanga's skill set, right? Like he was very much always around in and around the box, and that's where he operated best, always around the ball. That's how he ended up with so many interceptions. And so that's what I think this defense is going to miss. But it's always like next man up in the NFL. It's really unfortunate. Um, but the season goes on, right? And so next man up is going to be Jiyar Brown. And I have to feel like there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about Brown. For one, like he had that one play, and I think is where they got that touchdown, uh, where he kind of was caught a little flat-footed there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're automatically thinking, oh God, like this
This
is
is
what
why
we're
the
gonna have to
49ers
deal
aren't
with.
playing him. Yeah.
A rookie like dealing with rookie mistakes, and man, this is going to be tough for the defense, kind of thing. But Jiyar Brown ended that game in a very strong way: 4 tackles, 3 pass breakups, an interception in less than 2 quarters. Like that's crazy. So I
Yeah.
mean, and after the game, like I instantly became a huge fan of him. I was already like excited for him, when the 49ers drafted him. But just hearing what he had to say about like he'd been preparing for a moment like this all season pretty much. And it's not the situation in which you'd like to have your opportunity, right? Like someone going down with injury. But again, it's the nature of the NFL. And as someone who's second string and waiting in the wings, like you kind of just have to be ready for your moment, however that comes about. So it feels like Brown is ready, to take on that role. And he has the benefit of this defense and a ton of veterans around him to help support him. He's going to be playing next to Tashawn Gibson. There might not be anyone else as far as like veteran presence for him to learn from than a guy like Gibson, right? So, um, Very similar to how Hufanga came into the league, and he, kind of carved out a role for himself in his rookie season. Now Brown has that opportunity. So uh, he has a knack for the ball too, right? Like I think in college, the last 2 years at Penn State, he had the most interceptions of any player. So I think the 49ers are going to maybe get a boost in coverage. Again, they might miss having another guy in the box like Hufanga was, but, I think Brown could bring a different element to this defense as well.